we will return to the whole topic of reading instruction, and you'll have new reading selections to do either from the Richardsons or from the Bible or from both at the end of Unit 2. But in the meantime, over the next few lessons, we're going to begin with the theme of Unit 2, which is talking about one's daily or weekly routine. And you'll be learning not just the verbs that deal with some of the more common activities one does in the course of a typical day, but you'll also be learning how to tell time, how to express time, so that you can indicate when these activities take place. You'll also learn the days of the week and expressions related to time, so you can talk about how your week's schedule is laid out, and even over the course of a month, how activities take place. Before we, however, get into that topic of your routine activities, it would be good to review the whole issue of reflexive verbs, because you're going to deal with a lot of reflexive verbs. Now, a reflexive verb is one which has the se at the end of the verb, such as levantarse, sentarse. And the reason why these are so common when you talk about your daily activities is that, generally speaking, reflexive verbs deal with activities that you perform to yourself, you do to yourself. For example, to wash one's face, or to brush one's teeth, or comb one's hair. And so you'll have a lot of these kinds of verbs in this particular section of the ULET program. So let's review how they're formed, how they're used. Let's take the first one that you'll learn. In fact, as you're in this lesson 2.11, is the verb despertarse. Despertarse, which means to wake up. That's the one I'll tell you in English what it means. Despertarse should be evident what they all mean, I think. Despertarse, of course, is recognizable as a reflexive verb because of the se at the end. Despertar and se. And by the way, despertar by itself means something. Despertar means to wake, but it means to wake someone else up. When you put the se at the end, despertar se, you're saying that you're waking yourself up, or you're waking up. And so this is how the verb is formed. I think you know this by now, but just a good review. Despertar se. Yo, if I want to indicate that I wake up, I say yo, and the se goes off of the end, passes before the verb, and adapts to the subject. If yo is the subject, the pronoun we use, they're called the reflexive pronoun, is me. So yo me despierto. By the way, if you hear despierto, you recognize this is not just a reflexive verb, it's what's called a stem-changing verb. We went from despertar to despierto. Yo me despierto. The e changed to ye. And now that you've studied phonics a little bit, you probably can tell what the letter change is as well, but we won't deal with that now. If I want to say that you wake up, I would say tú. The se comes off the end of the verb, goes beforehand, and adapts to whatever tú is. And we know the pronoun that corresponds to tú, the reflexive pronoun, is te. So we say, yo me despierto, tú te despiertas. Tú te despiertas. Talking about someone else or speaking to someone formally, I will say, usted, for example, se despierta, or él or ella se despierta. Despierta. Nosotros, you may remember, is the one form that does not stem change. And so the reflexive pronoun, by the way, that corresponds to nosotros is nos. So nosotros nos despertamos. Notice I didn't say despiertamos. I said despertamos. There was no stem change. Despertar, despertamos. There was no changing of the e to ye. So nosotros nos despertamos. And last of all, speaking to a group of people, ustedes, or about a group of people, ellos or ellas, I say again, se despiertan, or ustedes se despiertan. So again, quick review. Yo me despierto, tú te despiertas, él or ella or usted se despierta, nosotros nos despertamos, ustedes se despiertan, ellos or ellas se despiertan. So yo is always associated with me. Yo me, tú te, él se, ella se, usted se, nosotros nos, ustedes se, ellos se, ellas se. Those are the pronouns that go side by side in conjugating and forming a reflexive verb. Okay, we'll get a lot more practice with this in the midst of the coming lessons. You may now go into lesson 2.11 and see a presentation of the most commonly used verbs in talking about one's daily routine.